Okay. Okay, hi, my name's Elena. Thank you so much for coming today, even though it's cold and miserable and the trains are striking. So I was super excited actually when I saw this theme because it's really I find it super interesting. Pain is something that we find, it's always associated very negatively. We don't want to think about it that much, but actually it's neither good or bad. It's a tool, it's a message that our bodies give us, and it's something that you're not always able to listen to, but for me, I had to learn to listen to this, so yeah. A little bit about me. This is some of my work that I've done the last few years. So I've worked a lot as an animator. I studied animation, and the last few years I'm doing more illustration, and yeah, so something happened, okay. Most of the images that you'll see in this presentation are my illustrations. Yeah, you can see I do a lot of design, a lot of kind of abstract stuff. Yeah, and you can see you'll be able to see how pain has influenced my work a little bit. Okay, so when it comes to pain and creativity, it's kind of, for me, it's kind of deeply intertwined with being an artist, being a creative person. There's often this expectation where, the suffering artist, it's because people see art as fun. You need to there's this misconception that I think is still floating around that you have to suffer in order to make good art, or you have to to do this thing that you're so passionate about, you have to earn it through hard work and pain and suffering, which is really annoying because it's something I internalized, and it really got in the way of looking after my body and working with my body and stopping me listening to the message of pain. Okay, this is all my animations. I wanted to first explore kind of some myths that we've all kind of internalized about creativity, especially being an artist. But I think this goes for not just creative, not just the creative branches, but many different areas. So I'm going to start with some of the beliefs that I had, and then I'm going to ask you if there's any that you can think of. So first, I need to prove that my job is not easy because it's so much fun just drawing all day. It's really difficult to make it seem like you are worthy, that what you are doing is a real job, right? So you have to make up for it in proving how hard you can work, how much pain you can go through. And I really don't like that this is still such a strong message, at least for me. If you're in the creative field, especially if you're an artist, you need to be really passionate, and in many ways, the way you show your passion is through just grunt, hard work, just throwing all your energy at something, because that's how you prove you're passionate, and that's, Yay, deadlines. We love deadlines. It can be you can often get caught up in the goal of achieving something, and something like a small amount of pain or a small amount of, not much sleep or working a lot over a shorter period of time, you're it's worth it for the deadline. But there's a balance. There's always a balance. Willpower. This ties into a lot of the other stuff, but I always think that you can go against your body and go, I can push through this time, I can get the deadline done. This is how I can prove that my job is worthy. This is that my vocation is worthy, because I think for many people, the creative fields are still not taken seriously. It's not seen as something that you need to make a lot of money in, or even sometimes any money. So this is some of my myths. Does anyone else have any weird myths about being an artist that they internalized? Yes.
It's It's not going well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really kind of like all or nothing, right? Yeah.
Also, like, I can also do that.
Yeah, it looks easy, right? Yeah, it's easy. I'll just do it. Yeah.
Pay 2 months of money for this?
Yeah, like how much money it's worth, right? Because it's work like anything else, and you deserve to be paid enough. If it's 2 months of work, you need to be paid 2 months of work. Okay, well, thank you. So I'm going to get into my story. So I studied animation. I studied 2D animation, which involves a lot of drawing, a lot of developing your technical skills, very repetitive movements, a lot of concentration, working on deadlines. And that's where I got my first flare-up of a repetitive strain injury when I was working on one of my assignments, working to a deadline, and I'm like, I can do this. I can get to this deadline. I can finish this. And I got I got an amount of pain in my wrist, and until the assignment was finished, I pushed through it and I finished, and then eventually the pain went away. So I was like, great, I did it. I overcame this problem. I met the goal, problem solved. But the thing is, like, I felt like I learned a lot in this animation degree, this mindset of doing all-nighters, pushing your body. You need to work all the time in order to get your goals. And it's really like, especially it was animation, and there was also like games design. There's this mindset of you really have to hustle hard. You have to work all the time. Even when you're outside of your professional work, you have to be doing your own stuff to build up your portfolio. It's like work all the time. And I didn't learn any tools of how to look after my body, the correct way to like exercise, because you need to exercise. It's just, we were a bunch of little gremlins sitting at our desks like this, so it's not good for the body. And yeah, I simply didn't know the right way to go about stuff. I think I learned like 2 stretches and that was it, and it's not enough. And in the case of, as well with digital art, there's 2D animation, you have to go for a certain art style, you have to conform to a style, and you have to make it perfect. So there's this workflow with digital art where to get the line right, you draw the line, undo, draw the line, undo. So it's like 10 lines for 1 line. And it's just the amount of work and the amount of things that you're doing with your body, it builds up. And especially for me, my style, even now, it tends to be towards this very intricate style. I'm trying to move away from perfectionism, but as well, that's one of the little things I picked up, was trying to make everything perfect, which, yeah, is not helpful if you're trying to look after your body and how much work you're making your body do. Okay, so after I graduated, the pain mostly went away, but then I started doing freelance work and I started working full-time doing animation, and I started getting pain that didn't go away. And then you realize that thing you overcame before, no, it's just a thing, it's gonna come back. So I was working, I had terrible ergonomics. I was working with my Wacom tablet on my lap, working at a desk, and that's when I first had to go to a physiotherapist, say, why am I getting pain in my hand? It won't go away. And they said, take a break, stop working. And I was like, I can't stop working, this is my work. Like, I can't, 2 weeks isn't enough. They said, stop working for 2 weeks. That's basically all the advice they gave me. And I couldn't really afford to go to a physiotherapist either to do exercises. So yeah, it's kind of in a dead end. So I ended up doing, trying to find my own solutions. I thought, rest, I'll just use my left hand. So I learned to draw with my left hand. And I still do a lot of things with my left hand, but without solving the underlying problem, which is the way I worked, my mindset, the stress that I was putting myself through in order to attain this perfection, I also got RSI in my left hand. And so here you can see, these are drawings I did with my left hand. and it's of my right hand. And I started using this stuff called kinesio tape. You might see Olympians use it. And that's something that I first got when I went to ergotherapy, where that was very helpful. And the kinesio tape, that was the first thing that really helped. And again, I relied on it too much. I thought I can draw now, I can use this tape, I can wear it all the time, and I can just keep going. This has solved my problem. It did not solve my problem. I got allergic to the glue in the kinesio tape. Yeah, so it was the start of the solution, but it took so many different things that I could not rely on one solution. And I was still learning exactly how to solve the underlying problem. But it did help. And then I got headaches and migraines, yay. The stress of not being sure if you can continue doing your profession. Would you have to retrain and go on a different job? I don't know. I'm really passionate about this. And I thought I can keep going. I can figure this out. I had to keep working. I didn't think I could find a new job. My visa was reliant on my job. So I developed plenty of headaches as well, and overall tension in the body, like neck, migraine stuff. And as you can see, that kind of ended up in my art. And then so I had to start concentrating more on why was this pain happening, actually paying attention to it. I actually taking medication for it, like pain relief medication and anti-inflammatories, that kind of thing. And not just going, I can ignore this headache, I can ignore this pain, I can get through to the end. And I need to address the mental stuff. Going to therapy helped a lot, I have to say. Learning meditation techniques to actually see what the source of the pain was, actually checking in with my body and not just being divorced from it and ignoring all the signals it was giving me. Because that just continually made it worse. So I had to look at the thing that was terrifying me and go, hey, what's going on? Why is this happening? And yeah, it started to help addressing the mental stuff. But the solutions don't happen all at once. And this was 2018, so probably the pain started about 2014. By 2018, I basically couldn't do anything with both of my hands. I was really in a place where I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no out. I spent all my energy in being able to work. I was using digital tools to try and avoid using my right hand. So I was using vector tools to do character design and stuff. And I was trying as much as possible to not use my right hand, and I didn't have energy left over at all for myself, for my own creative pursuits. I had absolutely nothing left over. I worked and I rested, and it's miserable. And this image that I did, it was after I saw the movie Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I really identified with the villain because I can't remember exactly what happened. She's stuck between realities or something, and she's in constant pain. And so she's constantly phasing, and her main motivation is how much pain she's in. And I got the motivation to do this fan art. I did it with my left hand because I found it so relatable that, yeah, I felt seen. I felt seen by this villain in a Marvel movie. And yeah, it was a really hard time, but at the same time, there's like bright spots, that there's ways that I felt seen, and there's ways that I still managed to have creative output. And yeah, it ended eventually. Yeah, so some of the things that I tried to do that were not just like medical stuff, but combating some of these myths that I internalized before. I really had to look at when exactly my pain was happening, why it was happening, exactly like monitoring my body and really paying attention to this stuff, because I did not pay attention to it before. Because I was thinking it's only about the mind, but it was not. Understanding my inherent worth as a professional, not just a creative professional, but that whatever I'm doing, I do not need to earn my worth. I don't need to prove anything. And it seems really obvious, but that's a thing I had to learn, and I don't think I'm alone in that, to be honest. Stress management, that's what helped with this. Therapy helped with that. Meditation, I read a few books about it, and I connected with some online communities about chronic pain and stuff, and it really helped to not feel alone in that. And I really had to look at my body as not an exhaustible resource of energy, but something that needs to be looked after, like a plant. And yeah, nothing is more important than your health. No deadline is more important than your health. At the end of the day, you are the one that has to live in your body, and you have to live with the results of however you push it. And you need to be more gentle with yourself. Okay, so there's a lot of things that helped, and it's going to take me a long time to go into it, so I'm just going to have a wall of text. Everything that I did, because this kind of problem, it doesn't have one solution, and it took me many, many years of searching and trying and being in this cloud of uncertainty to figure out all the things that helped me. Every single one of these things helped me a little bit, and it was really complicated. And it would have been much better if in the first case I had learned how to prevent this and not how to solve it while I'm in the middle of this terrible time. If I had known before, I wouldn't have needed so much help and so much time. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to talk about was how it's influenced the way that I do my art, the way that I've changed. So I used to do a lot more figurative stuff. And again, there's this perfectionism in mind. When you're doing a face, there's a clear goal. When you're doing a person, you're like, it has to be like this, I have to do it correctly. And then I'm trying to move more into like abstract stuff, embrace imperfection. The way that I do my lines, especially if I do my lines with my left hand, it's not going to be the same every time. It's not going to have the same clean lines. And I'm trying to embrace a little bit of chaos in my art and not so much straightforward, perfect, intricate, tiny things, because that's the huge problem. This picture here, it was tiny with a brush pen. It was like this big, and I really liked doing that kind of thing, but I really had to confront the fact that there are some things I just can't do anymore. Yeah, I'm trying to do more illustration because animation, especially 2D animation, it's much more about quantity, and I wanted to, I need to concentrate more on the conceptual stuff, doing one particular artwork and not just putting out a whole lot of content, because my body can't do large volumes anymore. I need to change my mindset. And yeah, more abstract stuff. I'm having a lot of fun with real life painting as opposed to digital art, because you can't keep pressing the undo button. Some of the changes I make in my workflow. Like I said before, I started using vectors quite a lot. So this artwork here, doing some more vector design. I tried not to think of things as like cheating. It's a tool. So like really trying to embrace things that make my life easier in order to get a good end product. And it's not just about me showing how hard I worked, how long I worked on a particular design. It's more about the result, and does it achieve what I wanted? Something really difficult was also like heading off the flow state. You know, when you're in a flow state, you're drawing, you're designing, your mind goes and you're not thinking about your body. And I have to take frequent breaks to kind of stop the flow state, which again, it kind of sucks because the flow state is amazing for creativity. You're in the zone. But the fact is you kind of forget your body, and 2 hours later you're like, why does my neck hurt? And that's something that I really have to always keep in mind when I'm working. And then I also wanted to just mention some particular resources that really helped me in terms of changing my mindset and my relation to creative work. So this is the digital artist Loish. I have to read it from here. Okay. So she said, I figured it wouldn't happen to me. She's talking about a repetitive strain injury that she sustained. Try to become aware of your body's limits before it is too late, and oh dear, teach yourself to become conscious of how you draw. Do not reward yourself for taking your body and mind to its absolute limits, and do not create unrealistic expectations for your productivity as an artist. So Loish, I don't know if anyone really is much into the digital art online, but she's probably the most successful and prolific digital artist out there. And I found this, I think this post is from 2014. When I found this, I found it so wonderful to know that I wasn't the only one that had these problems. And it could even affect someone so successful as her. And she also had to overcome these problems and is still able to be a very prolific artist. Yeah. This book is amazing. I think it came out in 2021. It's specifically about ergonomics for artists, not just like for office workers with the typing and the mouse. It's like about how you're using your drawing arm, exercises, stretches and stuff. It's really about treating your body like you're an athlete, because you're still using your body. Or because you're not running doesn't mean you're not using your body, and doesn't mean you don't need to learn how to look after it. And I really like what the author says about pain being your frenemy. You have to understand your pain and you have to listen to it. Because, yeah, it's obnoxious, but it's trying to tell you something. There's a reason for it. Yeah, it's an amazing book. I can't recommend it enough. And then I also read this book. It's about back pain, but I found it very relevant to my problems because it's about the emotional connection between, it's about the connection between emotion and pain and long-term stress and the stress that can result from chronic pain and how to kind of overcome that. And yeah, he talks a bit about like, there's nothing like a little physical pain to keep your mind off your emotional problems. So this book is where I learned kind of a meditation technique. It's a bit like the body scan technique, where is one of the things that helped me the most, actually, apart from all of the treatment I did, all of the ergotherapy, all of the exercises I learned. This was like the opposite of the straw that broke the camel's back. This was like the last little thing I needed to help me kind of not be afraid of my pain and be curious about it and try to understand it and not be afraid of it. Okay, let me just check. So, with all of these things, like, it would be very easy for me to say, like, just look after yourself. Ignore the demands that are put on you as an artist. Just look after yourself. But the fact is, it's really hard. We still have to work. We still have to live under capitalism. We still have to earn money. But I think we need to try and keep in mind we are more important than our jobs, and our bodies are more important than our jobs. And you do not need to earn your worth by putting yourself through pain. And yeah, we need to listen to the message of pain, because pain isn't good, it isn't bad, it isn't evil, it isn't an amazing, inspiring thing. It's just what we need to survive. We wouldn't have survived as humans if we didn't have the ability to feel pain. Yeah, so try and listen to what your body is trying to tell you. Listen to the message of pain. Try and look after yourself. Yeah, that's the end. Thank you.